The desert sun glared across the endless sweep of Nevada's open sky, a blinding sheet of gold that shimmered against the horizon. Beneath it, a small Cessna 172 carved its way through the air, engine humming softly like a tired bee. Inside sat an 18-year-old girl, Lena Carter, her slender hands gripping the yoke, her heart pounding with both fear and excitement. It was her first solo flight. For weeks she had dreamed of this moment, of flying completely alone, no instructor beside her, no comforting voice guiding her every move. Just her, the machine, and the vast, infinite blue above. The thought thrilled her. It also terrified her. She checked her instruments again. Altitude 6,000 feet, airspeed steady, fuel levels good. Everything was perfect. The radio crackled softly with the chatter of distant controllers, calm and routine. Lena smiled nervously. Cessna November 739er, continuing eastbound toward Desert Point, she said, her voice small but steady. Her instructor, Mr. Hall, would have been proud. He always said she had a natural touch with aircraft, like the sky listens to you, Lena, he'd tell her. And maybe it did. Flying was the only time she felt in control of her life. Because on the ground, everything was a mess. Her mother was gone, taken by cancer when Lena was just 8. Her father, an Air Force test pilot, had vanished only months later during a classified mission. The official report said his jet went down over the desert during a training exercise, but no wreckage was ever found. For years, Lena had tried to forget that emptiness, that feeling of being left behind. But in the cockpit, high above the world, she could almost feel him there, guiding her. She adjusted her headset and took a deep breath. The world below looked peaceful, roads slicing through dusty plains, mountains rising like gray ghosts in the distance. The hum of the engine was hypnotic. Then, it happened. A harsh crackle burst through her radio, loud and unexpected. Identified aircraft, this is NORAD control. You are entering restricted airspace. Identify yourself immediately. Lena's heart skipped. She blinked in confusion, checking her map. Restricted airspace? That didn't make sense. She was flying the same route she trained on dozens of times. Her GPS showed nothing unusual. She pressed the mic button. NORAD control, this is student pilot Lena Carter, tail number November 739er. I believe there's a mistake, my map doesn't show any restricted zones in this area. Static hissed in response, then silence. Her fingers trembled slightly as she scanned her instruments. Everything was normal, no alerts, no malfunctions. But the sky around her suddenly felt different. Heavy. Watching. On a radar screen hundreds of miles away, operators at Nellis Air Force Base exchanged tense glances. An unidentified blip had appeared, moving steadily into a no-fly zone. The area was highly sensitive, the kind of airspace that even commercial airliners were instructed to avoid at all costs. Within seconds, alarms flared. Sir, the contact's not responding to our encrypted ping, one technician said. Range, 10 miles inside restricted sector BRAV-09. The commander's face hardened. Scramble interceptors. Now. 2 F-22 Raptors roared to life on the tarmac, their engines screaming as they launched into the blue. Lena had no idea any of this was happening. She was still trying to reach air traffic control, switching frequencies, double-checking her map. Hello, this is November 739er, student flight out of Desert Point. Can anyone read me? The only reply was the soft buzz of static. The calm desert sky that once felt like freedom now pressed against her like a cage. Sweat trickled down her neck despite the cool air blowing through the vents. Her GPS began to flicker. The digital map glitched. For a second the terrain lines shifted, showing strange markings she'd never seen before, dark circular patterns far below her route. Then the screen froze entirely. What the hell? She whispered. At that exact moment, far off to her left, something caught her eye, two dark shapes glinting in the sunlight. Moving fast, too fast, she leaned forward, squinting. Jets. They were sleek, silent, and closing in rapidly. Her mind raced. What were fighter jets doing out here? A drill, an escort, or were they? Her radio exploded to life again, the voice sharp and commanding. Unidentified civilian aircraft, this is NORAD control. You are to turn immediately to heading 210 and descend to 3,000 feet. Failure to comply will be considered a threat. Her breath caught. Threat? NORAD? I'm just a student pilot. She stammered, panic creeping into her voice. I'm not. Confirm your name, the voice interrupted. Say your name clearly. My name is Lena Carter. Repeat. Lena Carter, student pilot, Desert Point Flight School. For a heartbeat, the frequency went dead quiet. Then, the tone of the voice changed, from cold command to stunned disbelief. Say that again, the controller said slowly. Your name, Lena Carter, she repeated, her voice trembling now. Is something wrong? The silence that followed was worse than the noise. It stretched out for several long, unbearable seconds. Then another voice came through, deeper, older, strained. Lena Carter, daughter of Colonel Michael Carter. Her chest tightened. Why yes, he was my father. But, he died years ago. No answer, just the low hiss of static. Far below, in the control room at Nellis, officers were gathering around a single screen. On it was a classified file, the name Michael Carter highlighted in red. The file had been sealed for nearly 2 decades. Colonel Michael Carter, U.S. Air Force test pilot, disappeared during a Black Project mission over Nevada in 2007. Last known coordinates, the exact spot where Lena's plane was now flying. The room buzzed with unease. Could this be a coincidence? One officer whispered. No, said the commander quietly. We shut that site down after the disappearance. No one should be there. Then why is she seeing open sky? Another asked. The commander's expression darkened. Because she's not supposed to see what's really there. Above them, the 2 F-22s streaked through the clouds, closing in on the small Cessna. The pilots could see her now, a white and blue single-engine aircraft drifting calmly through what looked, on their sensors, like a void. One pilot, Captain Harlan, frowned. This doesn't make sense. Radar shows anomalies all around her, like distortion fields. The other pilot's voice crackled. Orders are to intercept, not engage. Keep visual. Inside her cockpit, Lena's panic was building. The jets were so close now she could see the shimmer of heat rippling from their engines. She gripped the yoke tighter, trying to steady her breathing. Okay, calm down, Lena. It's just a misunderstanding. You'll explain. They'll see. But when she looked down again at her GPS, the screen flickered once more, and then displayed something new, a signal frequency. A blinking icon pulsing faintly in red, labeled, Carter Beacon, active. Her mouth went dry. Carter, Beacon. She hadn't pressed anything. She didn't even know what that was. And then, for the briefest second, she heard a faint voice, not through the radio, but through her headset, almost like a whisper carried on static. Lena. She jerked upright, scanning the radio. Who's there? Hello? No. Response. The jets stayed close, flying parallel on either side, their presence both menacing and strangely protective. Down on the ground, command officers were in chaos. The beacon's active, one technician shouted. How? That device was destroyed with the prototype. It's not possible, another said. Unless someone, or something, reactivated it from the inside. The commander's jaw tightened. Get me a live feed from the F-22s. The camera feed flickered onto a screen, Lena's small plane flying through a pale shimmer in the air. Around it, distortion rippled like heat waves. What the hell is that? One of the younger officers whispered. Whatever it is, the commander said slowly, it was never supposed to wake up again. Meanwhile, in the sky, Lena could feel the pressure in her ears change. The light seemed to warp, shadows stretching oddly across her cockpit. She looked out the window, and for a second, the desert below her wasn't desert at all. It was black glass, perfectly smooth, like a reflection. Her heart pounded so hard she thought it might burst. No, no, no. The radio crackled again, but this time, it wasn't the military voice. It was softer, familiar. Lena, if you can hear me, don't be afraid. Her hands froze on the controls. That voice, she knew that voice. It couldn't be. Dad, she whispered. Static filled the headset. Then, nothing. The jets banked sharply, signaling her to turn away. One pilot's voice came through urgently. Cessna 739er, you must exit this airspace immediately. Repeat. Turn back now. But Lena didn't move. Her eyes were fixed on the horizon, where something faint glowed, a ring of light emerging from the desert floor. The same light her GPS had shown moments before. She felt it, deep inside, a strange pull, as if the sky itself was calling her closer. The last thing she heard before the radio went completely silent was a single line whispered through the static. The whisper faded into static, but its echo clung to her mind like frost. Her throat tightened as she scanned the empty sky, but there was no one, just the 2 F-22s circling her like silent predators, their silver wings glinting in the burning sun. Lena's hands shook on the controls. Who was that? She whispered. Who the hell said that? No response. The radio hissed softly, a hollow white noise that seemed to breathe with her panic. Cessna November 739er, this is NORAD control, a voice finally broke in, clipped and official. You are in violation of restricted airspace. You are to turn immediately to heading 210. Do you copy? She pressed the mic button, her voice trembling. This is student pilot Lena Carter. I don't understand. My GPS malfunctioned. I'm not trying to violate anything. Copy your name, the voice replied. Then, quieter, stand by. Lena bit her lip. Stand by, that was never good. She looked again at the two jets flanking her, their presence wasn't normal. They weren't just watching, they were hurting her, pushing her toward a specific direction. The faint red beacon on her frozen GPS continued to pulse. Carter beacon, active. She hadn't touched a thing. Yet it was there, flashing in rhythm with her heartbeat. Far below, inside the underground command center at Nellis Air Force Base, tension rippled through the air like static before a storm. Sir, we've confirmed her transmission, an operator said. Student pilot Lena Carter. The name matches. I know who it matches, the commander interrupted grimly. Keep her on frequency 37. I want eyes on both Raptors. On the monitor, they could see Lena's small plane, fragile, vulnerable, caught between the sleek F-22s. Around her, the air shimmered faintly, like light bending through water. A scientist standing near the back adjusted his glasses, his face pale. That distortion pattern, it's identical to what we saw during the Carter anomaly 18 years ago. Don't start that again, the commander muttered. That project was terminated. There is no anomaly. Then explain the beacon signal, sir, the scientist shot back. It's reactivated, broadcasting the same encrypted frequency his jet used before he vanished. The commander looked back at the screen, at the terrified girl inside the tiny aircraft. She's his daughter, he said quietly. And that means whatever took him, might be reaching for her now. In the sky, Lena's breathing came shallow and fast. The radio crackled again, this time from one of the fighter jets. Civilian aircraft, this is Eagle 1. Do not panic. We are escorting you out of restricted airspace. Follow our lead. Escort, she said, gripping the mic. Why am I being escorted? What did I do? Ma'am, please comply, came the reply, firm but calm. Everything will be explained once you're on the ground. But something in his tone wasn't right. It wasn't reassurance, it was pity. Lena shook her head. No, you don't understand. Something's wrong with my instruments. There's a signal here, it says, Carter beacon. Do you see it too? The pilot's silence spoke louder than words. Then a voice, lower, uncertain, repeat that. You said, Carter beacon. Yes, she said, relief flickering. It just appeared on my. Lena, listen to me carefully, the pilot interrupted, his voice suddenly urgent. Do not touch any of your instruments. Do not respond to the beacon. Acknowledge. Her heart pounded. Why? What's happening? Before he could answer, the radio erupted with overlapping static and faint voices, whispers layered over each other, like dozens of people speaking at once. Turn back. She shouldn't be here. The signal found her. The sound was so cold it made her skin prickle. She yanked off the headset, gasping. Outside, the desert below shimmered brighter, a rippling circle of light expanding outward. It looked like heat haze, but too perfect, too controlled. Inside the command room, alarms flared. Sir, energy spike detected around the target aircraft. Origin unknown. Get those jets clear. The commander barked. Up in the sky, the F-22 pilots veered back instinctively. Eagle 2 to command, we have visual distortion forming below the Cessna. Looks like, hell, I don't even know what it looks like. Through her windshield, Lena watched as the light below her grew, forming a faint, circular structure beneath the clouds, almost like an iris opening. For a moment, she forgot to breathe. The voice in her headset returned, faint but familiar. Lena, don't let them pull you away. Follow the light. Her eyes widened. That voice again, the same one that whispered her name before. Dad, she whispered. Dad, is that you? No one answered, but the beacon on her GPS pulsed faster, in rhythm with the words. At Nellis, chaos deepened. The signal's drawing power from somewhere underground, the scientist said, frantically typing on a console. It's interfacing with her aircraft's avionics. She's not in control anymore. Shut it down, the commander ordered. I can't, the scientist snapped. It's autonomous. It's responding to her. The DNA signature, maybe. The commander turned sharply. What are you saying? I'm saying the beacon was programmed to respond to the Carter bloodline. Lena felt the yoke move beneath her hands, slowly, on its own. No, no, stop, she cried, fighting it. I didn't. The plane began to turn, banking toward the shimmering circle below. The F-22s tried to block her path. Cessna, change course now. You're flying into restricted zone 09. But the small aircraft kept descending, guided by some unseen force. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Tears stung her eyes. Please, somebody help me. The desert was rising fast now, or maybe it wasn't desert anymore. The ground had turned into a dark, glassy surface, reflecting the sky like a mirror. And then she saw them. Symbols, enormous circular patterns carved into the glass, glowing faintly with blue light. They pulsed in sync with the beacon on her screen. It wasn't a reflection, it was a structure. In the command center, the scientist's voice trembled. My God, it's the testing site. The one we sealed after Carter's disappearance. Sealed, the commander repeated. You told us it was destroyed. It was, physically, but the energy core was never neutralized. It must have gone dormant until... He stopped, staring at the data feed. Until she activated it. In the sky, Lena's world had turned to chaos. Wind roared through her cockpit. The F-22s flared their afterburners, one diving beneath her to intercept. Eagle 1 to command, she's being pulled by a magnetic surge, I can't maintain lock. The other pilot's voice cut in sharply, Command, we're losing visual. There's some kind of field forming, it's reflecting radar. Lena's view blurred, light engulfed the edges of her windshield, a swirling storm of gold and white. And through it, she saw something impossible. A shape emerging from the light. A jet, but older. Scarred, painted with a faded insignia of the U.S. Air Force. And on its tail, a call sign she'd seen only once, in an old photo on her mother's desk. Carter 01, her father's plane. Her breath stopped. No, it can't be. The aircraft hovered, half transparent, its edges flickering like a hologram caught between worlds. Then, faintly, a voice filled her cockpit. Not through the radio, through the air itself. Lena, I told you I'd find you. Her eyes flooded with tears. Dad, listen to me carefully, the voice said, calm but heavy with sorrow. You've activated something that should have stayed buried. They'll try to stop you, but you must trust the beacon. Follow it, it will lead you to the truth. I don't understand, she cried. You died. A soft laugh, tired, distant. Not exactly. I was pulled, somewhere else. Between here and what they were building beneath this desert. They called it the mirror field. Static crackled violently. His voice wavered. They used me to open it. And now, they'll use you to close it. Dad, please. But the voice faded, replaced by the deafening roar of the jets outside. Cessna, pull up now. Lena looked down. The glowing circle below had become a vortex, swirling like liquid glass. Her plane trembled violently. Alarms blared, altitude dropping. She tried to pull the yoke back, but the controls locked. The cockpit lights flickered. Her body pressed hard against the seat as the aircraft tilted nose down. Through the blur of tears and shaking metal, she saw the two F-22s peel away, retreating from the storm forming below her. Command, we've lost her. One pilot shouted. She's going down. The commander slammed his fist on the console. Track her transponder. It's gone, came the terrified reply. Signal lost. She's vanished. The radar screen went blank. Silence filled the desert sky. The two F-22s hovered at a distance, engines humming softly as they circled the fading distortion. There was no explosion, no debris, just a slow ripple of light, spreading outward until it vanished completely. Then, nothing. The world went still. Hours later, deep within the base, the commander stared at a dark monitor showing a single blinking coordinate. Is that her? He asked quietly. The technician hesitated. Sir, it's not her aircraft's transponder. It's the beacon. It reactivated 40 seconds after she disappeared. And where is it transmitting from? The technician swallowed. Directly beneath the surface. 2 miles below the test site. The commander closed his eyes. So she's still alive. Maybe, the scientist murmured. Or maybe she's where her father went. Far below the earth, Lena opened her eyes. Darkness surrounded her, a vast, metallic chamber faintly pulsing with light. Her plane sat perfectly still, as if gently placed there. The instruments glowed softly, still showing the active beacon. And then she heard it, that same voice, close this time, warm and real. Welcome home, Lena. Her breath caught. She turned slowly toward the sound. Standing in the light, wearing the tattered flight suit she remembered from a photograph, was her father. Colonel Michael Carter. The air was thick, humming softly like it carried a heartbeat of its own. Lena's eyes adjusted slowly to the dim blue glow that pulsed across the metallic walls surrounding her. The cockpit canopy had cracked open on its own, releasing the faint scent of ozone and dust. She unbuckled her seatbelt, heart racing, breath short, and then she saw him. Standing in the faint light ahead, tall, still, his flight suit torn and weathered, was her father. Colonel Michael Carter. Her knees weakened. Dad, the word came out barely a whisper, as if afraid to break the illusion. He turned, and for a moment time stopped. His face was older, worn with lines she didn't remember, his eyes pale and full of something she couldn't read, grief, pride, maybe both. Lena, he said quietly. His voice wasn't through the radio this time. It was real. You shouldn't have come here. Her throat closed. I didn't mean to. My plane, something pulled me down. The beacon, I know, he said softly. It was meant to stay buried. But it was always bound to find you eventually. Lena shook her head. Find me? Why? You disappeared. Everyone said you died. He took a slow step toward her, the faint light rippling across his uniform. 18 years ago, I was part of a classified project, something that was never supposed to exist. They called it the mirror field. He looked up at the chamber walls, smooth metal carved with faint geometric patterns that glowed in rhythmic pulses. It was designed to bend radar, to hide entire aircraft from detection. But what we created went far beyond that. We tore open a reflection in space itself, something that didn't just hide us from sight, but from reality. Lena frowned, trying to understand. Another dimension. Michael smiled sadly. We thought it was a mirror of our world. But it wasn't. It was something alive. The field observed us back. Lena stepped closer, feeling the faint vibration through the ground, like a heartbeat beneath her feet. But how did you end up here? I volunteered for the test flight, he said quietly. I thought I was flying through an energy field. Instead, I crossed over. The plane never came back, but I did. In a way. He looked down at his hands, solid, but faintly translucent around the edges. Part of me stayed trapped here. Between worlds. Lena felt tears sting her eyes. You mean, you've been here all this time? He nodded. Time doesn't move the same here. For me, it's been a few months. For you, nearly 2 decades. She took a shaky breath, her mind spinning. Then why now? Why did it pull me here? Because the system recognized your signature, he said. Your DNA. The beacon was keyed to my bloodline. When you entered restricted airspace, the field thought I had returned, and it activated again. Lena's stomach twisted. So, I triggered it. Yes. He stepped closer, his expression softening. You brought the mirror field back to life. And now it's expanding again. If we don't shut it down, it won't stop this time. A low rumble echoed through the chamber, as if the entire structure had heard his words. Expanding, she repeated. Michael looked up at the walls. The faint blue veins of light running across the surface had started to glow brighter, spreading outward like cracks in ice. It feeds on energy, light, movement, memory. It absorbs everything to sustain itself. Eventually, it'll erase the boundary between this world and ours. Lena's pulse raced. You mean, it'll swallow the real world? He nodded grimly. Exactly that. The chamber. Lena stepped out of the cockpit, her boots hitting the cold metal floor. It wasn't exactly solid. It shimmered faintly under her feet, bending slightly like liquid glass. Around her, massive columns rose into the darkness, each covered with pulsating runes. The deeper she looked, the more it felt like standing inside a living machine. Dad, she said quietly. If we shut it down, can we leave? Can you come back with me? He hesitated. His eyes lowered. Maybe. But shutting it down means collapsing the field completely. Anything trapped between worlds, anything sustained by it, will disappear. Lena froze. Disappear? You mean? Yes, he said softly. Including me. Her chest ached. She felt like the air had been punched out of her lungs. No, there has to be another way. He smiled faintly. That's exactly what I said, years ago. But there wasn't then, and there isn't now. He gestured for her to follow. Come, there's something you need to see. They walked down a long corridor that seemed to stretch endlessly. As they moved, the walls reflected fragments of their memories, images flickering like ghostly photographs. Lena's first steps, her mother's smile, an Air Force ceremony decades ago. Lena stopped, trembling. How does it know all this? The mirror field doesn't just reflect light, he said. It reflects thought, memory. That's how it learns. They reached the end of the corridor, a wide platform overlooking a bottomless pit of light. In the center stood a single pedestal, glowing with the same red hue as her beacon. Michael turned to her. That's the control node, the one we built to shut it down, if things went wrong. Then let's use it, she said. He shook his head. It needs 2 keys, 2 biosignatures, mine, and yours. Lena's voice cracked. So if we do this, I'll be gone, he finished gently. But you'll live. The world will live. The choice. Silence fell between them. Lena stared at the pulsing red light, her heart a storm of grief and fear. Why didn't you tell anyone? She asked finally, her voice breaking. Why did you have to carry this alone? He looked at her, eyes full of regret. Because I thought I could protect you. Your mother was already sick. I couldn't let this project destroy you both. So I took the risk. She shook her head, tears spilling freely now. I spent my whole life thinking you left me. That you crashed, that you didn't care. He stepped forward and pulled her into his arms. The warmth was real, solid. I never stopped caring, he whispered. Every moment here, I was trying to find a way to reach you. And when you entered the airspace, I knew the field would call you in. I'm sorry, Lena, I'm so sorry. She sobbed into his shoulder, the years of loneliness pouring out of her all at once. After a long moment, he pulled back, his expression calm but firm. It's time. The shutdown. They stood side by side before the control pedestal. The air around them throbbed with energy. The runes along the walls were now glowing bright white, almost blinding. What do I do? Lena asked. He nodded toward the pedestal. Place your hand on the surface. When I give the signal, don't let go. No matter what happens. She hesitated. And you, I'll do the same. Once the system recognizes us both, it'll begin the collapse. Her breath trembled. And then, he said softly, you go home. Lena took a deep breath and pressed her palm to the glowing surface. It was warm, too warm. A current of energy surged through her body, like lightning racing through her veins. Her father did the same on the opposite side. The red glow turned white. The air began to hum violently. Recognition confirmed, a mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. Dual genetic match, Carter. Initiating containment protocol. The floor beneath them began to shake. Light erupted from the pit below, swirling upward in a storm of energy. Stay with me, her father shouted over the noise. She nodded, gripping the pedestal tighter. Her vision blurred as waves of static light engulfed the chamber. Through the chaos, she saw images flashing, memories, moments, fragments of both their lives. Her mother's laughter, her first day at flight school, her father saluting before his final mission. And then, silence. Her father's voice broke through softly. Lena, look at me. She turned, tears streaking down her face. He was fading. His edges were turning translucent, dissolving into the light. No, she screamed. You said I'd see you again. He smiled faintly. You will, every time you look at the sky. The pedestal blazed brighter, forcing her to close her eyes. Dad, please. His voice was almost gone now, a whisper in the storm. Fly, my girl. Don't let the world forget us. Then the light consumed everything. The return. When Lena opened her eyes again, she was back in the cockpit. The world outside was bright, too bright. For a moment she thought she was still inside the field, but then she saw the desert below, real and solid. The sky clear, the sun warm, her instruments flickered back to life. The beacon was gone. She gasped, realizing her plane was still airborne, steady at 6,000 feet, exactly where it had all started. Cessna November 739er, this is Nellis Control, came a voice through her radio. We lost your signal for 10 minutes. Are you all right? She swallowed hard.